Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, Notorious bandits leader mocks Nigerians over struggle for new naira notes, boasts of possessing 10 million naira of redesigned currency. And later on the show, Obi leads Tinubu Atiku in Nigeria Decides poll, describes self as Frontrunner, vows not to step down for Atiku. In the course of the program, we'll take your questions, but first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have joining me via Zoom the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you again this Saturday, BKO.
Good to see you. Good to do this with you again.
Right. Let's delve into the issue. A notorious bandit leader, Kachala Baleri, and some of his deputies terrorizing the Northwest were seen brandishing new naira notes in a viral video claiming that he had enough of the new naira notes. Why actually we are lamenting scarcity of funds, these jungle monsters appear to be the big boys. BKO.
Yes, that is what it is. We have not done enough to defeat banditry in our country, and we are seeing signs that the more we give these guys the opportunity to show their strengths, the happier they are to take their chance. It also shows that as much as we think that by changing our currency, we can deal a decisive blow on banditry, the evidence points to the contrary. If you have so much money, if you have so much influence, it looks very likely that you will be able to find people in the banks who will make money available to you. That is what we are seeing. Because if he boasted that the attempt to defeat banditry using by redesigning the currency has already failed. That is what he's telling us. The bandits are people who have so much money. They are millionaires in their own right. And for this reason, you should expect that they would be able to lay their hands on a sizable portion of the new notes because they have the funds to bribe bank staff. They have sponsors who are well-to-do. So for me, I'm not surprised. I have said repeatedly that it is not likely that we will be able to stop politicians, for example, from laying their hands on enough money to be able to bribe voters on election day. A lot of these politicians have shares in the banks. A lot of them have bank MDs as their friends. So if anyone thinks that by changing our currency, we'll be able to put an end to vote buying, then that person does not really know what he's saying. You can reduce vote buying, but you cannot, by changing your currency, eliminate vote buying. We should be thinking of how we can put an end, a complete end to vote buying, not merely reducing it. And I know that a time will come when politicians won't be able to offer Nigerians money for their votes, when Nigerians will turn down attempts to get them to sell their conscience in exchange for money. So it's shameful that new Naira notes that many Nigerians have not been able to lay their hands upon, despite the fact that some of them are sleeping even at ATM points, at ATM galleries. Somebody who is resident in the forest already has access to such money. Of course, a lot of these bandits also have access to foreign currency. Because if you recall, the bandits who kidnapped those train passengers, the terrorists who kidnapped them, they demanded for foreign currency. And with the foreign currency, they can get as many Naira notes as they want. If partygoers can offer so much money just to buy the new Naira notes to spray at their parties, why should anybody think that bandits with the resources at their disposal will not be able to lay their hands on these new notes? As I've said repeatedly, this policy that Emefiele and the president have come up with, we only suffer the poor in our society. The rich people will find a way to get by. It is the poor that will continue to suffer. Politicians will find a way to lay their hands on money with which they can buy people's votes. And as Malam Rufai said on journalist hangout, it is not with the Nigerian currency alone that you can buy votes. In the far north, in the border towns, for example, you can buy votes with SEFA, with their currency, which a lot of the border towns in Nigeria are familiar with. You can buy votes with SEFA, and at the end of the election, they can then convert the SEFA to Naira. So the way things are going, even that policy has not achieved the aim for which it is meant. Big politicians, whether it's Atiku or Tinubu or Peter Obi, will find the money that they need to run their election, will find the money that they need to mobilize the voters. People should stop.
So-called policy makers actually is. You know, they said that we are not able to access the cash. They said they want bank transactions, they want to encourage bank transactions, but then we are not able to access the cash. They said yet despite being able to access the cash, not being able to access the cash, you can't even access banking services because of their bad networks. What really is it that they want to achieve? What really is the agenda that you think, Biko?
No, they told us that that there was so much money in circulation and that was fueling kidnapping and other crimes. They said they wanted to address counterfeiting and come up with new Naira notes that are difficult to counterfeit. The president also said that he didn't want a situation in which people, politicians, will be able to use the resources at their disposal to buy the conscience of the voter. So and that in my view was the reason for this timing of the redesign of the naira. They deliberately did it to come so close to the election so that politicians won't be able to mobilize enough money to use for the election. But as I've said repeatedly, the Nigerian politician will find the money that he needs for this election. It is the poor man that is suffering. The central bank governor has demonstrated his incompetence once again, because I don't see how you can be paying people as little as 5,000 naira across the counter, people who have so much money in their accounts, and you expect that every day you won't be seeing crowds at the banks. This is what we are seeing.
Right. So, BK, because of our time, let me quickly move to the other issue, which is the Nigeria Decide poll. You know, the online poll by this Nigeria Decide, you know, an independent research think tank based in the United States. They have actually tipped the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, as the winner for the upcoming presidential election, followed by Atiku, Tinubu, and Kwankwanso. What's your review of this latest poll?
Peter Obi has been doing very well in these polls. And it suggests one thing to me. A rarefied class of young Nigerians who are very active on social media, who are technologically savvy. They want change, and they believe that Peter Obi represents that change. You see that a lot of the activists who are part of the NSA struggle, they are Obi supporters. Unfortunately, this election won't be decided by people who are techie, people who are very active on social media, people, young, upwardly mobile Nigerians alone. A good number of our people resident in the rural areas, some of them who have not got phones to even take part in these surveys, they are going to vote, and they are going to vote in large numbers. So unless Obi can get such people on their side, unless Obi can get his message across to these downtrodden Nigerians in the north, especially where the bulk of the votes are, there's no way he's going to win the election. But if the surveys are conducted in the manner in which they are conducted, restricted to people who have Android phones, people, the upwardly mobile young Nigerians, they will keep winning all those opinion polls, because that is the class of Nigerians that are desirous of not just change, but of seeing Peter Obi emerge as Nigeria's next president. Young Nigerians who are very angry, they are on Obi's side, and a good number of them are the partakers in these opinion polls that we are seeing being conducted then and now. But the votes reside in many other Nigerians who are not in urban centers, Some of them, there's even no presence of government in their villages, in their hamlets, but they are easier to mobilize for election and they will come out and vote in this election. So Obi has to work harder, especially in northern Nigeria, or the north central, northeast, and the northwest. By tradition, the northwest will produce the highest number of votes in this election and any other election for that matter, followed by the north central. The north central has more votes by reputation than even the northeast. So that is where Obi has to concentrate his energy. I know that he has gone to the north central on a number of occasions. He appears to enjoy the support of the governor of Benue State, but his support base has to expand. He has to spread his tentacles beyond the Christian North for him to win this election. But we're talking about those polls. As long as the sampling remains the way they are usually conducted, Peter Obi will keep trouncing the other candidates in opinion polls. I am not surprised at all, but I know that a good number of people who decide who wins elections in our country, they don't even have phones and they don't take part in any form of opinion poll. They just show up on election day to vote for the candidate of their choice. So the grassroots is very important. Obi has to show that he too can play it big in the rural areas of our country where a good number of our poor people reside, especially in northern Nigeria.
Right.
There's a lot of votes on offer in northern Nigeria, especially the northwest. That is the battleground for me, because Atiku and Tinubu would battle themselves seriously in the northwest. And of course, Kwankwaso is there. So that's the main battleground. Peter Obi must show that he can compete and compete effectively in that part of our country. But if election is to be held in our country today, and it's the young people who are angry with the way things are going on in our country, if the election is going to be conducted in our country with only those young people voting, I can tell you that Peter Obi will win by a huge landslide. But election in our country involves that even the older people vote much more than the younger people, despite the fact that the people aged between 19 and 45, they are in the clear majority, but they don't turn out to vote as much as the older generation. So he has to focus on the category of voters that have no access to the internet, have no access to even Android phones, much more taking part in opinion polls.
Right.
But one thing we must admit is that Peter Obi has energized this race. He has made the race tougher for the candidates, and anyone who is conversant with the way with electoral behavior in our country will know that the presidential election will be a tight race. Even Nasser El-Rufai admitted to that. And Peter Obi has contributed to making it a tight race, but he has to do a lot more if he wants to win the election. Those opinion polls by themselves won't give him victory.
Right.
It is what he does on the field that will guarantee him victory. He can top a million opinion polls.
Yeah.
But it will never be the same thing as winning the election.
Right. Okay, let me quickly take one or two comments. We've got Cyril Igbonine saying APC is a leading political figure in Nigeria, and leadership has failed us. Okay. Honorable Miss Bao Shokumbi says Obi that always put on black, black. No, I think this sounds somewhat like a hate speech. Fabian Akeze says even Peter Obi knows that it does not stand a chance whatsoever. It should focus on strengthening its political alliances because it will need it when it seeks the senatorial seat in the next few years. Well, that's Tony's prognosis. Tony Goodman says, even without being told, Obi is the front runner because he has proven it in his interviews and what he plans to do. Remember that he had always won in polls, and I believe he will win. Okay. So, BKO, very finally, with all these predictions here and there, what if they don't turn out to confirm their prognosis? Wouldn't this cause some post-electoral brouhaha?
I don't see that happening. Elections are not decided by opinion polls. Opinion polls in the US never gave Donald Trump a chance. But Donald Trump won the election, won far more states than the candidate of the Democratic Party. And journalists who are noted for political prophecy were asking themselves, where did we go wrong? How did we all miss the possibility of a Trump presidency? But that's what it is. Opinion polls are not exact science. So people should not put too much accent on opinion polls. Peter Obi has done well in this race, but there's a lot more that he has to do to win the election. He shouldn't be carried away by the fact that he's ahead in a lot of the opinion polls. And he calls himself the front runner and said for that reason, he will not step down for Atiku or anyone. I don't think he's the front runner in this race. I don't think he's the front runner in this race. He has been very competitive. I like the energy that he has brought into the race, but he's not the front runner. If he's saying he's the front runner, he's deceiving himself. It's not the front runner. As things stand today, Peter Obi is not the front runner in this election. Right. Because that part of the country where majority of the votes are, Peter Obi cannot say that he's the most popular candidate in that part of the country. He cannot say he's the most popular candidate in the Northwest. And by voter behavior, the Northwest, even though the Northwest usually has lesser number of registered voters than the Southwest, they always outvote the Southwest. And that's where he has to really work hard. But he's done well so far. I give him credit. From the bottom of my heart, I give him credit. But if he does a lot of soul searching, he will know that there's a lot that he has to do if he's to win this election.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. That's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses, as always.
Thank you. We apologize for the glitches we had, but our determination to Trojan was evident. Hopefully, Next week will be a seamless affair, as it usually is.
And we like the fact that our audience are actually, continue with their comments without the old way of attacking or saying that we're not. They all actually understand, and we sincerely appreciate them as you've done. Bikil, thank you so much, and thanks to you to our audience for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim TVC team. I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.